Hello and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Monday, January 26, 2026, and I'm Warid Ahmed.
And I'm Richard Fitzgerald.
And for today's headlines, this Palestinian app is climbing the Apple App Store right now. Saudi Arabia is planning to expand premium residency programs. This was a story that came out about an hour ago, and Saudi Arabia is also going to postpone the Winter Games that were meant to happen in NEOM in Trojena. Now, right now, it's a very busy time of the year. It's a time of promotions and grants, and the big guys are also getting promoted. And we saw that with Khaldun al-Mubarak. I saw that you guys really loved the story. He got promoted, I believe, to be a chair in the top business council of the World Economic Forum. And then you have Khalaf al-Habtour, who's giving out 50,000 dirham grants to his employees. So you know it's a new year. So many exciting developments coming up. But how are you, Rich?
Yeah, it's nice to see it. You're right. The story of Khaldun al-Mubarak after Davos got so much attention. And I think because he's kind of famous, because of his link with Manchester City, you know, he's been in those documentaries, the All or Nothing ones, and, you know, he's more vocal than Sheikh Mansour, who is obviously as famous or in the background, but Khaldun al-Mubarak is more of a spokesperson as well for the Manchester City investment from Abu Dhabi, but he wears many hats. Mubadala, obviously his main day-to-day role, and now this is more Arab leaders getting global roles, so it's quite great to see.
I think that's why it's also so exciting. I hope that everyone is happy with the new year.
Yeah, we did 21 promotions at Augustus Media, so
yes, we did.
Not just those guys, but we did 16.7% of our 127 staff in Jan, and there'll be more in July. It's just it's good to see people progress. It's good to see that the economy is allowing people and us to grow. So you know, we're in the right place at the right time.
Yes, we are. And right now, this Palestinian app seems to be in the right place at the right time when TikTok has just been officially finalized as a new entity in America. So a Palestinian-founded social media app called Upscrolled has climbed to number 11 on Apple's App Store downloads, and this is in America specifically. So as users increasingly look for alternatives to mainstream platforms that rely on algorithms and opaque content moderation.
Yeah, so this, founded by Palestinian entrepreneur Issam Hijazi, Upscrolled, Upscrolled is positioning itself as a censorship-free platform built around transparency, avoiding algorithm-driven content, prioritizing in favor of giving users equal access across the network.
Now, the company says that this model directly responds to concerns from creators about reach and moderation, targeting users who feel constrained by existing social media rules, even as questions remain about how the platform is going to scale.
Yeah, so this surge, as Ward mentioned, right place, right time, came exactly as TikTok confirmed TikTok US has officially established under President Trump's executive order, and they've already implemented a lot of new people, a lot of new rules, approving the sale of its US operations to an American-led investor group.
Now, ByteDance will now own less than 20% of TikTok US, with Oracle, Silver Lake, and the Abu Dhabi sweetheart, to many, MGX, each holding 15%, shifting control from China as the social media landscape rapidly changes. Now, I woke up this morning and I opened X and I saw this and I'm like, this just came out of nowhere. I'm like, this is trending. It's cool because I think that this doesn't happen all the time. Because I remember when there was Vine, and I used to use Vine, and then I jumped on Musical.ly, and then suddenly I'm on TikTok, and I'm like, wait, now there's a new app? Like,
but do you remember, Ward, this happened last year when they were banning TikTok? An app with Red in its name hit the charts, Red something, we covered it.
Oh,
and then when TikTok stayed in, it went away. So there is, yes, you're right. What you're saying is that it doesn't happen that often where a big one replaces. But what happens sometimes is out of nowhere, because there's thousands of apps out there. So something triggers one and it sort of shoots up, but then they disappear. So what we're looking at now is, will this last? As we always ask questions, you know, and does it become famous? But it just comes at a time where, you know, the US is going through, I think, their own identity crisis with the First Amendment. They don't know what to censor, what not to censor. you know. And I often said this, much to people's surprise, that like people should just have constitutions that are based on Islam and based on this region, because there's no defamation, there's no slander online, and it's just clear for everyone. And it just works for us in a better media environment. It's not for everyone. Obviously, there are journalists who will disagree, but when we see what's happening in the US now, with a lot of TikTokers have said they've been censored. There's a new employee of, basically Larry Ellison's Oracle, Larry Ellison is a proud Zionist and they're very pro-Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying that this is an important transaction that it goes through in the US, that Larry Ellison does take control of TikTok, and now it's happened, and now US are imposing censorship on words like Zionism. Is Zionism a slur, or is it, or if I say it, if I'm a proud Zionist, then does that mean it's I'm allowed to say it? So all these things are coming in, but I guess it's just the terminology around it is, people who haven't been censored per se on social media, or at least they don't think they have in the US for a long time. Now that TikTok is censoring, and I guess the whole irony here is that they always said that the reason they wanted TikTok in the first place is because China are listening to Americans and they're convincing Americans of things. And now that they've got TikTok in their own hands, the first thing that happens is all their creators are saying we're being censored, and a new app jumps up on the chart. So it's quite ironic.
It is. And I think also the timing is just, it's so crazy. And I think that people are really waking up to it because of the fact that, we saw what happened in Davos last week. Jared Kushner coming up to the stage, and he has this PowerPoint put together, and he's suggesting a new Gaza and a new Rafah in Palestine. And then you have him clutching his hand and putting it on his chest and saying that, we have someone called Yakir Gabai who, is joining this plan, this peace board from the bottom of his heart, and only because he really wants to help. And the reason why I mentioned Jared Kushner, because you brought up Larry Ellison and all these people, they run in quite close-knit circles. And I think the kind of decisions that have been happening, seeing the Venezuelan president just get kidnapped, and, the next day he's somewhere else. And then it's just so many things that are happening at the same time that I think that young people are aware of what's happening, and they know that they have so many options that they can choose from. And there was this app that we covered. Majid did a great interview on it called Sarwa, meaning revolution. And it's these two Syrian guys from Germany, and they're basically trying to start this new ChatGPT that's also meant to protect you against the kind of messaging that the Western world is trying to push out. I've been on ChatGPT lately, and when I tell it, I'm like, hey, can you please stop using the word war and make sure to use genocide? It argues back with me, and it never argues back with me. It's like, sorry, we're not being objective right now. You can't do that word. And I'm like, that's a bit crazy. You're not supposed to respond. I own you. You don't own me. So it's just, I just think it's people are waking up like that. The Israeli billionaire I did a piece on, Igir Gabai, if you guys are wondering why I did that, it's just, who is this guy? He just gets to come out of nowhere. The Palestinian Authority doesn't even get to be a part of this peace board.
I think
he does.
I see what you're saying, but I do think they're quite separate things. I think the peace board and the genocide and the basically real estate grab, this is a real estate play, isn't it? That's what they're trying to do as part of ethnic cleansing and stealing land, basically. But that's one part of the story, and there's it's a $30 billion project, and will people do investment there? And it's been dressed up as allowing dignity for people, but was that really the
to make
intention?
Really great investments?
But another side of it, there's censorship in social media platforms and sovereignty, and basically the thing is the whole reason for TikTok US was to put TikTok under a democratic First Amendment freedom of speech country, because it wasn't on one. It was under a Chinese one, which doesn't have the same amendments as a U.S. Constitution. Obviously, they're different countries. But so the irony is now that it changed, it's actually been censored. So I think people are knowing this. I don't think the U.S. is really denying it. I don't think they're, they're not actually, like, their foreign policy and in this region and what they do in other countries, like, they're not really denying that. So I think that's what I mean by they're coming to terms with what their constitution means, and it's like an identity crisis. It's like, well, are you America or are you not America? And what is America? Like, is America freedom of speech? Is it democracy? Is it First Amendment? Well, okay, but why are you censoring the platform?
And it's so strange because these videos, they always pop up in my feed, and it's like ICE agents that are just like killing American citizens. And at first,
public executions.
They like made it seem like it was like a racial war, black against white. That I understood. Then they made it seem like, okay, now we're against Mexicans. That I understood.
That's why
and then
so many of them are...
now I'm just seeing white people who are being killed, and I'm like, hold up, I'm confused, guys. What's going on?
I see you nurses defending others in the street. Bang,
it's
bang.
Just crazy, and
shouldn't
it's
laugh.
like,
It's just horrific, really.
Sorry, guys, but I have Americans. Like, I remember when I was at 1 Billion Summit Rich, I was talking to these Americans, and they were like, "Oh my God, like, we love Dubai," and I'm like, "Well, I don't blame you. Like, you'll be fine if you're walking down the street." But we always talk about, companies trying to either poach talent or, all that kind of drama. But I think that the U.S. should be really careful, because right now you have a lot of nations that are rising, and with them, they're going to poach your talent. They're going to get your people are going to leave. They won't be confused for long. I think they'll connect the dots and they'll be out of there soon.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's easy for us to say things about over there. Like, there's obviously... people living great lives in many parts of the world, but it does, you're right, it does sort of point to how safe it is to live here and the opportunity. Like, there are so many people who see Dubai, the UAE, Saudi, this region as the new America, as a place where you can fulfill your dreams, and obviously public safety. And, the thing is, though, going back to the point about censorship on platforms, is that, it's billed as, if you own the platforms, you control the media and the algorithm. And maybe, but actually, users still create on a lot of platforms. And yes, there's some censorship on X and some censorship on, Instagram, and some censorship on TikTok. And, governments get involved and they delete stuff and they block stuff. But also, there's many choices to go on different platforms. And also, there isn't total censorship. Like, these platforms aren't banned here or there. So while, yes, there's some censorship that's forced, but also, if your content's bad, it's not going to reach the algorithm. And if you don't put the work in, just because you can post doesn't mean you're going to reach everyone anyway, does it? Like, if I posted
That is a good point.
on TikTok now, what's my reach going to be? Am I going to reach all of America if do you know what I mean? If TikTok isn't censored, does that mean I can reach all of America with a post? No. So it's like, there's many different ways of looking at this, but yeah.
No, there definitely is. But this place is definitely becoming the dream. Now, Saudi Arabia is weighing plans to expand its premium residency program. So it's potentially opening up to high net worth individuals and super yacht owners as the kingdom looks to attract more global capital, talent, and long-term residents to support its economic transformation.
Under proposals being considered, applicants with a net worth close to $30 million could become eligible, alongside yacht owners, top students, and entrepreneurs. Yachts maybe in Sharjah or Jeddah. I don't know where else you can have yachts yet in Saudi. Maybe Red Sea has some marina bays, according to people familiar with the matter and documents seen by Bloomberg News.
So high net worth candidates would likely need a recommendation from Saudi Arabia's investment ministry, while the new rules could be announced as soon as April, though officials caution that no final decision has yet been made.
The changes would broaden the current program, which already offers perks such as exemptions from certain business fees and easier access to property ownership, mirroring how Dubai's golden visa system helped drive foreign investment and long-term residency.
So
Yeah.
Saudi officials see this expansion as key to attracting overseas capital and highly skilled talent, easing pressure from lower oil prices and helping Riyadh compete with Dubai and Abu Dhabi as global financial firms increasingly expand across the Gulf. I think that this is great news. This is exciting news that we're seeing this. I'm pretty sure, I think I saw somewhere that it was the Uber CEO, Travis Kalanick, that was first granted the citizenship, and then we saw that it was the Red Sea CEO. I'm not a Saudi citizen, so I can't really speak for them. But when I see these kind of stories, it is always exciting for a country to be able to offer that. And, with them firstly opening up foreign investments for foreigners to be able to take part in the Saudi market, in the Saudi real estate market, I think that this is a push in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did Umrah over the weekend, and there was a...
How was it?
It was great. It was good. But on the way back, it was very busy, but it was great. They really manage it well there. It's incredible how Saudi, the custodians of the two holy mosques, how they manage everything. But just from a visa point of view and from logistics of the transport, it is very obvious. They are saying premium residency, you can go faster. So while it doesn't say golden visas here, at least I haven't seen it in Dubai airport, it's becoming a bit more prominent in Saudi. And, there's many things happening. On the 1st of February, we're seeing that, home ownership can be fully done in Saudi by foreign nationals in Saudi, and the banks and the investment in the stock market as well. One of them already happened, I think, the home ownership and the property market. And the investments in the stock market is happening, one in the first five. And they also have Founding Day, the first Saudi state in 18th century. Founding Day is on the 22nd of February in Ramadan this year. But the sort of momentum that they're having around this and the perks with it, we've seen the Saudi stock market jump 10% twice because of the announcements about foreign investments being allowed in. And home ownership is really going to improve things a lot. In Mecca, Medina, you still need to be Muslim to own property there, but elsewhere in Saudi, particularly like Riyadh and the other giga projects, you will be able to buy property. And I think the premium residency is a good idea. It makes people more committed to the country.
Does.
I'd go as far as saying, Ward, that when golden visas came in about 5 or 6 years ago, the boom that we've had here on property, I think they're somehow interlinked. I think that's really made people think long term.
They are. I believe here in Dubai, you do get a golden visa if you have if you own a home, and I think it's priced at a specific range.
Yeah, but even the fact that you can live here for 10 years and sort of renew, as opposed to 2-3 year visas, it's just made people think long term. Whether they but it's just made people who can even already have afforded, and it's just made people think longer. And I think people's relationship with Saudi is going to be like that as well.
Yeah, and you know how I'm also looking at this, Rich? I'm looking at it from an Islamic perspective too. I think this is my personal opinion. I think that the rise of Islam, it's something so beautiful to see. And I think for a lot of the foreigners who are coming to Saudi Arabia to partake in that, to try and have stocks that are halal, to be in a land like that, that is something that is such a privilege. And for all of us to get to enjoy that now, and the opportunity to do it is something great. Is there anything specific that you're excited to invest in, Rich?
I think property. But not right now. We did a story last week about the property prices because there's a supply and demand gap. They can't build them fast enough, and so Crown Prince MBS had to put a 5-year ban on rent freeze, rent increases. So we saw property drop in the last couple of quarters in Saudi, the prices and the rent, but not right now. But yeah, I think property in Riyadh could be good investment. But also all the things that they're doing there, whether we see stories about NEOM advancing, we'll talk about NEOM now, but we see lots of things there. But all the startups, all the e-commerce companies, and just Augustus Media, just what we're doing over there, we're going to invest a lot more in live sports streaming, on their Smashi brands, on their 11 brands. And I think the Kingdom's got 13 regions. And, I think we could have 5 offices in Saudi. I think it's that big. I
hope so. Inshallah.
Well, it depends on AI or what you need. But the region's so big, it's so diverse. I was going in the car from Jeddah Airport to Mecca, and on Saturday, and we passed by a football club, Al Wada. And I was just looking it up and seeing what division are they in, and they just got relegated. And like everywhere, they're in the Yellow League, the Saudi First Division, but everywhere in the kingdom has all got different stories now, and it can all be linked to Vision 2030 and quality of life and many things, and it just allows you to think in different ways, you know. There's stories about, you know, rare earths, rare earth metals and things like that, and how much Saudi has, and you can feel it driving around. Like you can see it, you can see the expansive lands, you know, the space and everything that's there, right? And you know, we see the price of oil has crossed $5,000 per ounce, and you know, gold, I should say, has crossed $5,000 per ounce, and not oil. That would be crazy, jumping barrels of oil. And then silver's going up, and they're talking that copper's going to be next. But if you just think about the kingdom and everything to do with energy, everything to do with energy and what they're doing, like gigafactories, you know, data centers, things like that. There's just so many things to invest in, so many things to look forward to. And I also think that yes, the SME market hasn't expanded as yet properly in Saudi, but now is a good time while people are writing off some of the kingdom. I think now is the time where if you pick the right areas to invest in, I think you can get value.
I think you definitely can, and what Rich just mentioned, it's extremely important to take into consideration for the next story. So Saudi Arabia has postponed the 2029 Asian Winter Games, which were due to take place at NEOM's Trojena Resort after the Saudi Olympic Committee and the Olympic Council of Asia agreed to delay the event collectively together. So the two organizers said that they have agreed on an updated framework for future hosting of the Asian Winter Games, confirming the 2029 edition will be moved to a later date, which has yet to be announced. Now, the Games were meant to make Saudi Arabia the first Middle Eastern country to host a winter sports competition, turning Trojena into a global showcase within NEOM, the kingdom's flagship mega-city project.
So despite the delay, NEOM remains one of 6 priority investment areas for Saudi's Public Investment Fund, with projects moving forward, including a green hydrogen plant now 90% complete. That's amazing. And operational port, and Sandala, that island that MBS opened with an interview on Fox a couple of years ago.
Now, the $930 billion Public Investment Fund this week has also raised $2 billion in bonds on the London Stock Exchange. Al Arabiya reported more than 5 times oversubscribed, underlying the continued investor confidence in Saudi Arabia's long-term economic strategy. Now, I'm sure that by now you've all seen another piece by the Financial Times on the line on NEOM. I think with these pieces, you know, while news is appreciated, I think that it's with NEOM, when you actually look at, you know, the Saudi national news agencies, when you look at their media, they're not exactly giving us this news. So, you know, it's almost like these statements are honestly becoming baseless, because they're not coming from evidence. You know, they're not giving us any financial statements to stand on. We're not actually getting any, you know, evidence of the budget. So I don't think that these statements can really be made, because they've done one, I think, 3 months ago, and then now they've done another one. I think that with these mega projects, you know, they clearly do take time, and they do take a lot of infrastructure and a lot of money. I think what's great about Saudi is they have not made the mega projects their main focus. Is it a part of Vision 2030? Yes. But, you know, they have Humane. As you said, they have so many projects coming up. So I think in this term, I think it will come up, but we just need to wait and see.
Yeah, NEOM already exists. Like, NEOM's a place. Like, NEOM's got residents. NEOM's got a football team. Like, NEOM exists. Like, whether the giga projects, you know, that line, and I've been to the demo exhibition of the line, and whether the exact plans of that model city, the 150 kilometers, and the population goals are achieved or not, probably that's going to change. And I think they're okay with that, because they've got so many giga projects. Like, they're really investing in Diriyah now outside Saudi, but outside Riyadh. But there's just so much happening in Riyadh. You know, there's so much happening there. And yeah, I think it's you know, as well as projects being delayed. Hosting the Winter Olympics in a desert was always going to be an ambitious one, and whether it's delayed in projects or funding, or whether it's climate, one of these things is, some of these projects are wild, right? Like building palms in the sea and stuff like that. Like some of the stuff that's happening in this part of the world is wild, and by that very nature of that ambition, some of them are going to adapt. But I don't think it's as negative. That's what I'm saying about opportunity. I don't think it's as negative as has been understood. Is it a gold mine for foreign investors, for consultants? Hopefully not. Hopefully it's a gold mine for Arabs and for Saudis, like it's their country. But like you're right, there has been talks of, Saudi was a country that ran on very little debt, and in the last few years, I think they've raised a lot of debt, and going to the sukuks of bonds and public markets, and London, as was said here, like 2 billion is a big number. Was it 2 billion or 10 billion?
$2 billion.
2 billion, yeah. Similar to what you guys posted on Smashi Business over the weekend, that Bengadi are no longer eyeing an IPO because they're so flush with cash. I think they have 10 billion dirhams in escrow accounts, meaning people have bought properties and waiting for handover. And they've also raised 500 million on the London Stock Exchange. So London's a great place for Middle Eastern companies to go to the bond markets. And there was 500 million raised last summer by Bengadi. So the people, if you can get corporate or sovereign bonds, then you don't need to do as many IPOs because you can get funds in different ways.
And it's so interesting, I think, how he also mentioned like the specific purpose for why they raised those sukuks. He said, we did that because we wanted to buy more land. So they're doing that, they're buying more land, they're building it, they're making money out of it, they're going to pay it back, then they're going to do it again. And I think that's the process that real estate developers take. But sorry, this is a topic that's just been on my mind. Right now, the art scene, in the Gulf, it's so beautiful. Al Qaws Fest happened over the weekend. I know people were complaining that the price ticket basically went up. Because last year, I think it was 50 dirhams, and then this year it's 100. But the place was just completely transformed. Al Sirkal, it's by Abdel Mun'im Al Sirkal. It was so beautiful. It was bustling. But I think that there's actually a new Al Sirkal that is coming to the UAE. So there's this place, Rich, in Abu Dhabi. It's called Mina Zayed. And in Mina Zayed, that's where you find the beautiful marmaletta, best pizza, I would say, in the UAE. You have to try it out. But that's what they're kind of doing right now. So in Abu Dhabi, they're trying to make it the new El Sirkal. They're hosting all of these exhibitions there. You have all these new cool food spots that are popping up. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, but that's a wrap.
You're right. But just to mention, yes, we're in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but you're right about the art scene, like Doha and Jack's district in Riyadh. Like, there's loads of stuff happening in the region. But yeah, that's a wrap.
Yes, there is. That's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description. And this has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks a lot.